Today, the pyramids of Egypt stand scarred. Their smooth white surfaces are gone. Many of their treasures have vanished. Broken stones lie scattered across the desert. Visitors often wonder, who destroyed the pyramids? Was it an invading army, a natural disaster, or did time simply erase one of humanity's greatest achievements? The truth is far more surprising, because the pyramids were not destroyed overnight. Their decline happened slowly, over thousands of years, and some of the greatest damage wasn't caused by nature. It was caused by people. This is the incredible story of how the world's most famous monuments became the ruins we see today. More than 4,500 years ago, the Great Pyramid of Khufu was unlike anything standing on Earth. It wasn't the rough, step monument we recognize today. Instead, it was covered with brilliant white casing stones made from fine Chura limestone. Each block was polished until it reflected sunlight like a giant mirror. Ancient travelers described the pyramid shining so brightly that it could be seen from miles away. At sunrise and sunset, it must have looked almost supernatural. Its perfectly smooth sides formed one of the greatest engineering achievements in history. Nearby stood the pyramids of Kharfa and Menkaure, along with temples, causeways, and enormous statues. The entire Giza Plateau formed one magnificent royal complex. But no monument lasts forever. Even during ancient Egypt's later dynasties, maintaining these massive structures became increasingly difficult. As political power weakened, resources became scarce. Royal maintenance crews disappeared. The temples surrounding the pyramids slowly fell into neglect. Sand drifted across pathways. Walls cracked. Roofs collapsed. The first signs of decay had begun. Then came another problem: grave robbers. Although the pyramid were designed to protect royal burials, determined thieves found ways inside. Many entered only decades after the pharaohs were buried. Gold, jewelry, sacred objects, anything valuable was carried away. By the time later explorers entered many pyramids, the treasures had already vanished. But while tomb robbers stole what was inside, something even more destructive would eventually target the pyramids themselves: their stone. For centuries, Egypt experienced periods of political instability, foreign invasions, civil wars, economic decline. Each crisis made monument preservation less important. Ancient temples and pyramids became convenient sources of ready-cut building material. Why spend months quarrying fresh limestone when millions of perfectly shaped blocks already existed? Entire buildings throughout medieval Egypt were constructed using recycled stones taken from ancient monuments. One of the most famous examples occurred after a devastating earthquake struck Egypt in the 14th century. Many of the smooth casing stones covering the Great Pyramid loosened or fell. Builders quickly recognized an opportunity. The polished limestone blocks were ideal for constructing mosques, fortresses, and homes in Cairo. Thousands of blocks disappeared over the following centuries. The Great Pyramid slowly lost its gleaming outer shell. What remains today is only its inner core. The transformation was dramatic. The world's tallest and smoothest structure became the rugged monument we recognize today. And yet, despite everything it endured, the pyramid refused to disappear, because its builders had constructed it to survive, not for centuries, but for millennia. Still, human activity was only one part of the story. Nature had also been quietly attacking the pyramids since the day they were built. Wind, heat, rain, earthquakes, temperature changes. Every year, tiny amounts of damage accumulated, almost unnoticed, until thousands of years had passed. The pyramids weren't destroyed by one catastrophic event. They were slowly worn down by countless small ones. But perhaps the greatest surprise is that some of the worst damage happened long after the age of the pharaohs had ended. Imagine standing before the Great Pyramid 1,000 years ago. Instead of the rough stone monument we know today, you would see a smooth, gleaming structure covered in polished white limestone. Now imagine watching workers pry those stones loose, one block at a time, not to destroy history, but to build a new city. This wasn't a legend. It really happened, and it forever changed the appearance of Egypt's greatest monuments. By the end of the pharaoh's reign, the pyramids were already ancient. Many royal temples had been abandoned. Maintenance crews were gone. Protective walls crumbled beneath drifting sand. Without constant care, even the greatest structures began to deteriorate. Then nature delivered another devastating blow. In 1303 CE, a powerful earthquake struck Egypt in the eastern Mediterranean. The tremor damaged buildings across the region and loosened many of the fine limestone casing stones that still covered parts of the Great Pyramid. For builders, those fallen blocks represented an incredible opportunity. The stones were already perfectly cut. They were smooth, durable, and easy to transport. Instead of quarrying fresh limestone, workers simply removed blocks from the ancient monuments. Over the following centuries, thousands of casing stones disappeared. Many were reused to construct mosques, palaces, fortifications, and homes in Cairo. In a way, pieces of the pyramid still exist today, just not where the ancient Egyptians originally placed them. But the outer casing wasn't the only thing that vanished. Treasure hunters had been targeting the pyramids for centuries. Although most royal tombs had already been robbed in ancient times, later explorers continued searching for hidden chambers filled with gold. Some dug new tunnels. Others widened existing passages. Unfortunately, these searches often damaged the internal structure of the monuments. Walls were broken. Floors were disturbed. Ancient passages collapsed. Many believed unimaginable treasures still remained hidden inside. Most found only empty burial chambers. One of the most famous attempts occurred during the 9th century, when the Abbasid ruler Al-Mamun ordered workers to force their way into the Great Pyramid. Unable to locate the original entrance, they carved a tunnel directly through the limestone using hammers, chisels, fire, and vinegar to weaken the rock. Today, visitors still enter the pyramid through this medieval tunnel. Ironically, the search revealed no hidden treasure. The burial chamber had almost certainly been emptied thousands of years earlier. Yet the damage remained. Then came another silent enemy, the desert itself. Although Egypt receives very little rainfall, extreme temperature changes slowly weaken the stone. During the day, the limestone expanded under intense heat. At night, it contracted as temperatures dropped. This constant cycle created tiny fractures that grew larger over centuries. Occasionally, rare rainstorms allowed water to seep into cracks. When temperatures shifted again, the weakened stone became even more vulnerable. Grain by grain, block by block, the pyramid slowly weathered. Wind played its part as well. Carrying fine desert sand, it acted like natural sandpaper. Over thousands of years, countless particles eroded exposed surfaces. The changes were almost invisible from one year to the next. But over millennia, they became impossible to ignore. Despite all this destruction, something remarkable happened. The core structures refused to collapse. The reason was simple. The ancient engineers had built with extraordinary precision. Each massive block distributed weight across the structure. The deeper the archaeologists study the pyramids, the more impressive their engineering becomes. Even after earthquakes, stone theft, treasure hunting, and more than 4,000 years of erosion, the pyramids still dominate the Giza Plateau. That resilience is perhaps their greatest achievement. But one mystery remains. If so much of the pyramids has been lost, what exactly did they look like when they were new? The answer is almost unbelievable, because the original pyramids looked nothing like the weathered monuments we see today. Forget everything you've ever seen in photographs. Forget the rough limestone blocks. Forget the weathered brown surface, because the pyramids standing today are only shadows of what they once were. More than 4,500 years ago, the Giza Plateau looked completely different. If you could travel back in time, you might not even recognize the Great Pyramid. It didn't resemble a giant staircase of exposed stone. It looked like a flawless geometric masterpiece that shimmered beneath the Egyptian sun. And according to ancient descriptions, it was one of the most breathtaking sights on Earth. When the Great Pyramid of Khufu was completed around 2560 BCE, its appearance was dramatically different from today. Instead of exposed core blocks, the entire monument was covered with approximately 144,000 finely polished casing stones. These stones came from the limestone quarries of Chura, east of the Nile. Unlike ordinary limestone, Chura limestone was bright white and extremely fine-grained. Each block was carefully shaped until it fit perfectly against its neighbors. The gaps between many casing stones were so small that even a thin blade would struggle to fit between them. The result was extraordinary. The pyramid's foreside became smooth, flat surfaces rising toward the sky. As sunlight struck the polished limestone, the monument reflected brilliant light across the desert. Some historians believe the pyramid could be seen shining from many miles away. To travelers approaching ancient Memphis, it must have appeared almost unreal. Then there was a pyramid ion. This was the capstone placed at the very top. Although the original capstone of the Great Pyramid has never been found, many scholars believe it may have been covered in electrum, a natural alloy of gold and silver, or polished limestone that reflected the morning sun. Imagine standing at dawn. The first rays of sunlight strike the golden peak. Moments later, the entire pyramid begins glowing beneath the desert sky. For the ancient Egyptians, this was more than architecture. It was symbolism. The shining pyramid represented the sacred rays of sun, a monument connecting earth with the heavens. The surrounding complex was equally magnificent. Long stone causeways connected the pyramid to valley temples near the Nile. Massive courtyards bustled with priests performing daily rituals. Offerings were presented to honor the deceased pharaoh. The air carried the scent of incense. Sacred chants echoed between towering stone walls. Nearby stood the Great Sphinx. Unlike the weathered monument we know today, it was brightly painted. Traces of red pigment still survive on parts of its face. Other colors once decorated the body and ceremonial features. Many ancient Egyptian monuments were originally painted in vivid shades of red, blue, yellow, black, and green. The ancient world was far more colorful than modern visitors often imagine. Even the statues surrounding the pyramids were alive with color. Time has stripped most of that beauty away, but microscopic traces remain, providing researchers with valuable clues about the past. Then came the centuries. The polished casing stone slowly disappeared. Temple roofs collapsed. Columns fell. Paint faded beneath relentless sunlight. Wind carried sand across abandoned courtyards. The once lively pyramid complex became quieter with each passing generation. Eventually, silence replaced ceremony. The royal priests were gone. The offerings stopped. The monument stood alone beneath the desert sky. Yet despite losing so much, the pyramids never lost their purpose. They remained symbols of Egypt itself. Travelers from Greece, Rome, Persia, and later Europe journeyed across continents simply to witness them. Even in a damaged state, they inspired awe. Ancient historians struggle to explain how they had been built. Some called them miracles. Others considered them the greatest achievements of human engineering. Thousands of years later, modern scientists continue asking many of the same questions. How were they built so precisely? How were the stones lifted? How did they survive so long? Perhaps the greatest mystery isn't how the pyramids became ruined. It's why they never disappeared completely. Because many ancient wonders are gone forever. The pyramids endured, and the reason lies in the extraordinary vision of the people who built them. But their greatest test was still to come. Because the modern age would bring new dangers, tourism, pollution, environmental change, and millions of visitors every year. Could the pyramids survive another 1,000 years? Or are they now facing their greatest threat yet? For thousands of years, the pyramids survived earthquakes, invading armies, treasure hunters, stone thieves, and the harsh Egyptian desert. But today, they face a new enemy, one that grows stronger every single year. Ironically, the greatest threat to the pyramids may not come from the ancient world, but from the modern one. By the beginning of the 20th century, the pyramids had already endured more than 4 millennia of history. Archaeologists began studying them with scientific methods rather than searching for treasure. Governments introduced laws to protect Egypt's ancient monuments. Large-scale stone removal finally came to an end. For the first time in centuries, preservation became the priority. But protecting monuments this old is never simple. Every year, millions of visitors travel to the Giza Plateau. Tourism helps preserve the site by funding conservation and increasing global awareness. Yet millions of footsteps also create challenges. Constant human activity affects the surrounding environment. Vibrations, dust, wear on pathways, and pressure on fragile archaeological areas all require careful management. Fortunately, most visitors never touch the pyramids themselves. Modern regulations limit climbing and restrict access to sensitive areas. Even so, conservation teams must monitor the monuments continuously. Then there's pollution. Modern Cairo has expanded dramatically over the last century. Today, the city stretches close to the Giza Plateau. Vehicle emissions and industrial pollutants react with moisture in the air, slowly affecting exposed limestone surfaces. Although Egypt's climate is relatively dry, airborne pollutants can accelerate the weathering of ancient stone. It is a problem the pyramid builders could never have imagined. Climate change has introduced new concerns as well. Sudden rainstorms, once extremely rare in this region, have become more frequent in some years. Heavy rainfall can seep into existing cracks. When water enters weakened limestone and later evaporates, it leaves behind mineral deposits that gradually stress the stone. Over decades, these small changes can become significant. The desert itself continues its endless work. Wind carries microscopic grains of sand across the plateau every day. Each grain is tiny, almost weightless. But over thousands of years, billions of grains slowly erode exposed surfaces. Nature works patiently, never stopping, never rushing. Then comes another challenge: restoration. Repairing a 4,500-year-old monument is one of the most difficult tasks in archaeology. Every stone tells part of the monument's history. Replace too much, and authenticity is lost. Replace too little, and further damage may occur. Conservation experts must constantly balance protection with preservation. Their goal is not to make the pyramids look new. Their goal is to keep them standing for future generations. Modern technology has become one of their greatest allies. Scientists now use laser scanning to map every visible surface. High-resolution drones photograph areas that were once difficult to reach. Ground-penetrating radar helps researchers study hidden spaces without damaging the structures. Digital models preserve every crack, every block, and every detail with incredible accuracy. If future damage occurs, these records allow experts to compare even the smallest changes. Ironically, the most advanced technology in history is now being used to protect one of humanity's oldest engineering achievements. Yet despite all these efforts, one question remains. Will the pyramid survive another 4,500 years? No one knows. History has shown that no monument lasts forever. But the pyramids have already accomplished something extraordinary. They have outlived kingdoms, empires, religions, languages, and entire civilizations. Few structures on Earth can make that claim. Perhaps the greatest tribute to their builders is this. Even after thousands of years of damage, erosion, and human interference, the pyramids still dominate the horizon exactly as they were intended to do. But before we end this journey, there's one final question. How much of the pyramids has actually been lost? And how much of ancient Egypt's greatest wonder still survives beneath the weathered exterior? The answer may surprise you. We'll uncover the truth in the final chapter. After more than 4,500 years, the pyramids have been robbed, weathered, shaken by earthquakes, stripped of their brilliant white casing stones, and explored by countless generations. Yet they are still standing. So perhaps the real question isn't, why did the pyramids become ruined? It's, how did they survive at all? The answer is one of the greatest engineering stories ever told. When people visit the Great Pyramid today, they often see missing stones, rough surfaces, and empty chambers. It can be difficult to imagine that this weathered monument was once the tallest structure on Earth. But despite everything it has lost, nearly all of its massive limestone core remains intact. More than 2 million stone blocks still form the heart of the monument. The builders achieved something extraordinary. They didn't simply construct a tomb. They created a structure designed to resist time itself. Every block was carefully positioned. Every layer distributed weight evenly. The immense mass of the pyramid gave it incredible stability. That stability helped it survive disasters that destroyed countless other ancient monuments. Think about everything the pyramids have endured. The fall of the Old Kingdom, foreign invasions, Greek rule, Roman rule, the rise of Christianity, the spread of Islam, medieval stone quarrying, powerful earthquakes, centuries of treasure hunting, modern pollution, millions of visitors. Through all of it, the pyramids remained. Many temples across Egypt collapsed into ruins. Palaces disappeared completely. Ancient cities were buried beneath sand. Yet the pyramids continued to dominate the landscape. That alone speaks to the brilliance of their builders. Ironically, the greatest loss wasn't the stone. It was a history. The original burial treasures are gone. The sacred rituals have ended. Most inscriptions that could explain the builders' methods were never placed inside the Great Pyramid. Many records from the Old Kingdom have been lost forever. As a result, countless questions remain unanswered. Exactly how were the largest blocks lifted? How was the construction organized? What did the workers' daily lives look like? Archaeologists continue searching for these answers, and every new discovery adds another piece to the puzzle. Recent excavations have uncovered workers' villages, ancient harbors, construction ramps, papyrus records, hidden tombs. Each discovery brings us closer to understanding how these monuments were truly built. The mystery is slowly giving way to evidence. But not every mystery has been solved. The pyramids still contain unexplored spaces. Advanced scanning technologies have revealed hidden voids within the Great Pyramid that researchers continue to study. Whether these spaces serve structural, ceremonial, or practical purposes remains uncertain. The story is still unfolding. That is what makes a pyramid so extraordinary. Even after centuries of research, they continue to surprise us. Perhaps that is their greatest achievement. Not simply surviving, but continuing to inspire curiosity. Generation after generation, the pyramids remind us that civilizations may fall, empires may disappear, names may be forgotten, but human ingenuity can outlast them all. Their builders are long gone. Their language had to be rediscovered. Their kingdom became history, yet their greatest creation still stands beneath the Egyptian sky, silent, unshaken, watching the world change around it. The pyramids were never truly defeated. They were transformed, from royal tombs into symbols of human ambition, from monuments to pharaohs into monuments to civilization itself. And perhaps that is why millions of people continue to travel across the world just to stand before them. Not because they are perfect, but because they endured. And after more than 4 to 5 centuries, their story is still being written. If you enjoyed this complete journey through the rise, decline, and survival of ancient Egypt's greatest monuments, be sure to subscribe to Mystery of the Ancients and turn on notifications for more stories about lost civilizations, forgotten pharaohs, hidden chambers, ancient engineering, and the greatest mysteries ever carved into stone. The deeper we explore the ancient world, the more incredible its story becomes.